Hello, and welcome to today's lesson on Toulmin Argument Overview. So today our objective is to help you to understand the ways in an essay that you can build an argument. What do you need to put first, and where do you need to put it, and how much of this do you need, and what are all the parts that you need? So that's what we're going to do today, is to talk about the things you need to make sure you have when you're building an argument, and kind of a suggestion for how you need to set those things up. So what we're doing is called the Toulmin method of argumentation. Who really cares what it's called, except for poor Toulmin? I'm assuming he would want us to care. But it doesn't matter what it's called, it just matters that we know how to do it. I don't think your book actually mentions Toulmin, but it pretty much outlines what Toulmin is. Alright, so the basic elements of Toulmin, we've already talked about a little of these. First of all, you need a claim. That's like your thesis. That's the argument that you wish to prove. So you're going to make sure that that is first and foremost, probably at the beginning of your paper, unless you want to just hint at it, maybe ask it as a question, and then come back at the end as you build it, and then bam, put it strong and solid in your conclusion. Qualifiers are any limits that you place on your claim. Like, let's say that I wanted to say something like, all abortions are murder, but there are people who believe that abortion is wrong except in the cases of, and then they would say like rape or incest or when the mother's life is in danger. I'm not saying that that's what I believe, but I'm saying those would be qualifiers. Those would be limits that you place on your claim. Sometimes qualifiers come in the form of time constraints. Like you could say that, for example, that people who are at the age of 25 make better decisions. So you're going to say that like maturity is one of the qualifiers you would put on your claim. We've already talked about reasons and evidence. Those are the things that support your claim. You need to have those at least twice specifically in every single paragraph that you write. So you need to have very specific reasons and evidence to support your claim, and each paragraph should be like its own little mini claim that builds that claim. And we'll do some examples together as we go. Warrants, remember, those are your underlying assumptions. What is it that you believe that you need to support so that other people who may not have those same assumptions as you will be more likely to get on board? Backing is simply another, it's called the evidence for your warrant. Who cares whether you're calling it reasons or evidence or backing? It's pretty much just your support for what you're trying to do. And rebuttal is very important. Rebuttal is how you address your audience's objections. In your book on page 409, it talks about the Rogerian argument. And the Rogerian argument purports that you should put your audience's objections first. And I really think that's a good idea, because lots of times if you will let the audience know that you understand where they are coming from, especially if they're going to disagree with you, then if you handle those objections well and you prove them wrong from the onset, then that will cause your audience to start to question their own ideas and maybe even consider that what you're saying has some value. Either way, you can split your rebuttal up into like little pieces where you say, okay, here's what my audience believes, here's how I believe that's wrong, here's another thing that my audience may believe, and here's how I believe that's wrong. It just depends really about the nature of your argument. Okay, so some things about your claims. First of all, it's a good idea for your claim to be debatable. If it's not debatable, you don't really have an argument to talk about. And so it should also be controversial and timely. Otherwise, you can't answer what's the point. If your argument is that women should be able to vote, well, you know, that ship's kind of already sailed. Here's your qualifier, that women in other cultures should be able to vote, because it's not a right worldwide. So it needs to be something that you can say, what's the point, or where do I stand on this issue? Since evidence is so important, it is also important that you vary your types of evidence. And your book talks about this a bit as well. If you only have all facts and you don't have anything to personalize it, let's say it's just a lot of statistics, then you're not necessarily going to help your audience to relate the facts and the statistics that you're saying to anybody with a name or a face. So if you can mix some personal experience, some anecdotes about other people, and some facts all together, then your facts validate your personal experience or those stories about individual people, and those stories about individual people validate the statistics that you're giving us as well. We also need to be able to believe your argument is true, and for that reason, you need to rely on some authorities and expert opinions. We're going to be talking about pathos, ethos, and logos shortly, but pretty much that's what it is. Your pathos is where you have some emotional argument, and that comes from things that are personal for either from you, the author, or from other people as well. Your ethos is your credibility. That would be, where's your information coming from? Is it coming from experts, and can you back it up with those authorities? And also from your logos is these facts that are believable. These logos would be the inarguable, this is bottom line, this is what it is. It's not whether somebody's experience is different from somebody else's. This is a fact that's difficult to argue against. So once you have a variety of all of that evidence, then your argument becomes very solid. So I want you to keep in mind, and I put this link is on today's agenda. It's called the Outline of the Toulmin Arguments. It may just say Outline of Toulmin, I can't remember. But you need to look at it. It will help you for the quiz that we're going to have on your Toulmin argumentation next week. You just need to know the different types of things. And here's some examples. So download this and study it because these are like I said, your examples. Okay, let me know if you have any questions, and we'll have some time today to apply this information to your Disney article.